Matchday 36 in La Liga EA Sports kicked off with Valladolid hosting Girona on a Tuesday evening. The penultimate home game for Los Pucelanos in the top flight. Their relegation confirmed. Girona fighting to stay in the top flight, knowing that with their final 3 games, this one would be their best chance to grab a victory, and needing a victory to avoid the doldrums of the drop. It started with Raul Moro, who was excellent as usual for Valladolid, just missing out on the final touch to put his side ahead. The Girona fans were in attendance from the visiting side, and they were perhaps the loudest throughout this game, knowing what the game meant to their team. Oriol Romeu stung the palms of Karl Hein, who had a brilliant first 60 minutes. He was tested a number of times and met the challenge each and every time. This game went back and forth on a number of occasions. A couple of heart-in-throat moments, especially for Girona, who could not afford a loss today. Paulo Gazzaniga also needed to come up with a couple of stops. After David Lopez's mistake, it was Chucky who gave Gazzaniga his first test. First half rolled along. Viktor Tsigankov was a big part of Girona's attack, trying to facilitate, trying to come up with something, and he was able to do so here, forcing a big-time stop. On this occasion, though, Portu was ruled to be offside, and it was about a full body length in the end that he was, despite putting the ball in the back of the net. Confirmed and not particularly close, but still a fancy finish from Portu, as Girona thought for just a moment that they had gone ahead. Chucky had to be retired from the game early on in the first half with an injury. He was replaced by Ivan Sanchez, who came on and made just as much of an impact on the right-hand side as Chucky was. Here is Tsigankov trying to open up the play. It's been a frustrating season for both of these teams. Valladolid trying to avoid becoming one of the worst teams in the history of La Liga EA Sports from a points standpoint. And this was Tsigankov forcing a world-class save out of Karl Hein. The Estonian on loan from Arsenal denies that one with a singular palm. It's an impressive stop to keep Girona off the board, and that's what kept this game on a knife's edge throughout the course of the 90 minutes. Gazzaniga nearly lost his footing on this attempted cross that actually turned into a shot, but he got there in the end. Ivan Sanchez in a similar spot to where he scored against Barça just 2 weeks ago. And this was a wild sequence because Sanchez threw it across the face of goal. Valladolid had maybe 1.5 chances to score here as it was slipped in towards La Tasa and then brought back in by Moro before David Lopez managed to clear. And on the ensuing counter from that clearance, Abel Ruiz brought it into the path of Portu, and again, just a little bit more quality, and one of these teams would have been out in front early. It's a missed chance for Portu. We're still in the first half. Sanchez skimmed the top of the net. Didn't have Gazzaniga as worried with this one as with some of the others. And Viktor Tsigankov had another chance denied by Hein. Tsigankov probably could have scored twice today. The first one saved off of the shot from distance. This run in behind, keeping it on his left foot, opening up that space, and Hein down to his left with a reaction save that pushed it out for a Girona corner. Mario Martin had a couple of chances too. He was one of the best players for Valladolid on the pitch today, the man on loan from Real Madrid, as it skimmed in front of Gazzaniga. Still first half action, haven't called Yasser Asprilla's name yet, and he had a couple of moments, including this one. This was not his finest. He would have a moment later on, getting the start today, accruing the trust of Mitchell, and just not able to have that finished product. Halftime saw a change that brought Arnau Martinez off the pitch and Alejandro Frances onto it. So Frances came on and immediately made an impact for Girona with this pass that saw Asprilla in space. First touch good, second touch sets up the shot, and guess who? It's Hein again. This was right out of the gates in the second half, and Asprilla did everything right that time. But Hein just trying to get as big as possible. Keeps Asprilla and Girona from striking the scoreboard. Stayed 0-0, and again, with Girona in this case, a win would likely clinch their survival. Not mathematically, but very close to it. Anything other than a win, though, and the nerves would start flowing through the club with 2 games to play against Real Sociedad and against Atletico de Madrid. This was a big chance for Valladolid. Juanmi Latasa feeds it into the path of Anwar, and Paulo Gazzaniga gets enough on this to deflect it off the crossbar and keep Valladolid off the scoreboard. In retrospect, perhaps the save of the game to help determine the outcome of it. On target from Anwar, and you can see there just enough from Gazzaniga to keep the game scoreless. It came from a David Lopez mistake off of the turnover. Lopez would find a way to make up for that, though, with a play later on. Another chance off of a corner, and this was an interesting moment in the game, too. It was the moment where Girona felt like it might be at their lowest point. Alejandro Frances called for a handball. Upon further review, it seemed unjust as Frances tucked both of his arms into his body. You can see it hits the arm, which couldn't be anywhere closer to his chest. And this was immediately reviewed and immediately overturned. No penalty, the ruling. And that's when Girona would make their second change. Portu off, and Ivan Martin came on in his place. Martin trying to help dictate the flow of the midfield that Girona had been seemingly dominating. Well, Ruiz trying to chip it over the top, finding Artur, who made a mess of the chance. Valladolid would make a triple change, including seeing another debut. Ibrahim Alani, just 18 years old. Adam Asnu and Mamadou Silla coming on as well, with Latasa taking to the bench. And then the big change would come from Mitchell's side. Good to see him back on the touchline, by the way, after his medical episode earlier this week. Christian Stuani, who was not in the starting 11 because of a knock that he picked up, a leg issue that popped up overnight, but he comes on for the final 20 minutes of the game and makes the biggest impact of the game. Another change saw Tamas on for Valladolid, and the moments continued to sway to either direction. Asnu with this cross, forcing Gazzaniga to come out and claim. This was the moment, though, for Girona off of a set piece as it pinballs around. David Lopez on the cutback finds Stuani, and he's able to celebrate with the fans in the corner who made the trip. Girona, with their captain, take the lead, a lead that they would not relinquish. As it bounced around twice, Lopez, instead of going for goal, cuts it back to his captain. The first assist of the season for David Lopez, the 10th goal of the year for Stuani. He's scored Girona's last 4 goals in LaLiga EA Sports. This one comes off the bench. Not only is he Girona's all-time leading goal scorer in the top flight or in club history, he's also La Liga's all-time leading bench goal scorer. And he does it again here to put Girona in front. A massive goal in their fight for survival. And it's one that would ultimately prove to deliver all 3 points. There were chances, though, for Valladolid in the end. Girona were not home and dry just yet. They did not breathe easy in the final 15 minutes of the game. They went into a more defensive block, and Valladolid made them pay. And this was the moment, perhaps, that should have made it 1-1. Mario Martin gets his head on the ball. It just happens to be right at Gazzaniga, who shoves it aside just enough off the line to keep Valladolid off the scoreboard. That was the most nervy moment by far. Martin heads it down. Gazzaniga there to save the day. Sometimes the ball just doesn't bounce your way, and that was the case. It's been the case for Valladolid. They have just 1 point in the second half of the season. This effort from Moro just wasn't good enough. They've now lost 16 of their last 17 games. They have 1 point to show from this second half. They fought till the end, though. There was another chance for Anwar. He really gave it a go, trying to level the score and break some Girona hearts. It wasn't to be, though. And the final whistle blew, and Girona come away victors. They're nearly safe in the fight in La Liga EA Sports. It ends Valladolid 0, Girona 1.